Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the program. Can everyone do me a favor and put a 1 in the chat room if you can actually hear me? Because I want to make sure that you can actually hear me before I present the presentation. And I want to thank everybody that is in the chat room. I see Poetic Kelks, CC, BB, Scratcher. I see you in there. Thank you, Muhammad, for the super chat. Good, everyone can hear me. My mic is working perfectly. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate you being here and supporting the program. I'm hoping that this will be a good program. Information is power. Just to let you know what's going on here, I don't know how many of you are aware that I'm involved with O'Shea Duke Jackson on the Sunday Rumble. He interviewed me around the issue of censorship as it relates to Louis Farrakhan. The question was the fact that he was banned off of Facebook along with Alex Jones and some of the other groups, upright and what you would call white supremacist groups. They lumped Farrakhan in with hate groups. I don't know what your opinions are about Louis Farrakhan personally, whether you like him or not. But the concern that what we talked about yesterday when he interviewed me was this is censorship. And we see censorship happening to us on YouTube where they'll demonetize our channels depending on what type of material we talk about. Who knows? This might be demonetized for me because I'm talking about Louis Farrakhan and censorship. This can affect us in so many different ways. So I'm just I'm bringing this to the format because I don't know how many of you got a chance to catch I was the opening guest before we had a panel. And I broke it down in terms of why I believe that this happened to Louis Farrakhan. And we got into the issues of talking about the nation. What has Louis Farrakhan done for the Black community? What are the negatives? What are the positives of the nation? I know everyone has their opinions. I do recognize that Facebook is a social media company. And the question is, do they have to abide by the same rules that we are so-called protected by the Constitution, which is our First Amendment right of free speech? If YouTube is a social media, do they have to follow that same guideline? Can they simply say, hey, this is our business, our company, we can deem who we want on these platforms and who we don't? This is dangerous because, of course, if they can take down someone like Louis Farrakhan, and they've been purging him way before Facebook. I mean, he can't go over to certain parts of Europe. And I'm not gonna say everything that's on my mind right now, because what I'm gonna simply do is I'm gonna play the broadcast. I edit it very well, so it goes right into the interview with myself and O'Shea Duke Jackson. So if you haven't heard this is gonna be a treat for you. I'm doing this radio style. Just to give you all a reminder, if you look at my my channel page, in the corner you're going to see social links. One of the social links on there is the one that has the little star symbol that looks like a little star. It's yellow and black. That's my podcasting. I will be uploading fresh new material on there that won't be on YouTube. That will be broadcast radio style that I think you're going to love. And then some of those broadcasts I may port over to the podcast, because I'm going to figure out what should go on live like this. So you'll see this radio style format. I'm still going to do the black to black as well. There's just so many things I want to do, and seems like so little time. Once again, I want to thank everybody in the chat room who is visiting here. Anita B, I see you out there. Kenneth Nash, I see you in there. And do me a favor, everybody. One of the things that I've been learning going into other channels where people are trying to grow their channels is go ahead and support each other. Check out each other's channels, and you know what to do. If you want to let everyone know that you've actually are following their channel, put a check mark. Put a check mark next to their name, which will represent that you're going to be following their channel. And I hope you all can hear me. I'm using a good mic, a studio microphone here. That's my one concern, that you can all hear me. And don't forget to give me a little love too. If you are a newcomer to the channel, go ahead and.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
Yeah, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I hope you all heard that. That's very important. And support is definitely needed. So we're going to get into the presentation. Once again, I was on O'Shea Duke Jackson's channel yesterday. And it was a great show. Got a little wild yesterday when we had the panel on, but everyone has their opinions, their thoughts about this issue. I know there was a little bit of a debate about whether Farrakhan has called upon black men to sacrifice themselves, and we knew that once listening to the audio in context, he's talking about always talking about defending yourself, because we know that we've been impacted by police brutality and white hate groups that want to harm us. It is common sense, and it is nature of a man to protect himself and his family. And I'm going to say this again: if someone is attacking me and my family, the natural instinct is to protect yourself. There's an old saying: I'd rather die standing for something and fighting for something to protect my family and my people than bow on my knees and just be a slave. Who wants to die a slave on your knees? I'd rather, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die swinging and trying to fight against oppression. So I really believe that's where Farrakhan was coming from, but everyone's going to have their different opinions. So with that said, let me go get the presentation ready for you. Thank you for being here. If I don't, I'll give more shout outs near the end of the presentation. I see people in there. Mary Jane, everybody, make sure you go over and support her channel. Go over to her channel. BB Scratcher, I know you've got a channel. Go over there and support her channel. The great Black Shark. Brother Black Shark, you're probably going to hear some of what we did yesterday because you were in O'Shea Duke Jackson's chat room. I'm actually did some editing, and I'm going to be playing the interview that he did with me about Farrakhan, because there are people that follow me on my channel that are not over there on O'Shea, so I wanted them to be able to hear this. So you're really going to hear a repeat of my interview with O'Shea, but it's not going to be the whole panel because I edited just to get to the point of that. So brother, stick around, or share this video, everybody, as well. So let's get to the point of the presentation. And once again, it's thunderous to have you all here.
Tell the truth.
But about some events that happened a little bit earlier last week, earlier this week. Minister Farrakhan of the Nation of Islam and others, my Unopolis, I believe, some other people were kicked off of social media, Instagram and Facebook. So we want to talk about, is being kicked off of Facebook, is it racist? Is there anything about that? So we talk about a whole lot of things on today's show, but we'll start off with that topic. To lead off on this episode is going to be none other than the Information Man Show channel. His channel will be at the first comment and also in the description. You can subscribe to him. I'll let him introduce himself. Information Man, thank you for coming on today to the Sunday Rumble. I appreciate you being here today, brother. Thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you, O'Shea. I really appreciate you having me on once again. And everyone, you can find me. My channel is Information Man Show. I touch on cultural issues, political issues, social issues, anything that can educate and open up one's mind. So check me out. there. I also have a show page on Facebook. That's Information Man Show. You can find me on Instagram at Information Man Show
power.
as well. I appreciate this, brother Jackson. It's a lot going on. It's a lot going on since last week.
All right. Let me kind of again talk about this particular situation about the Nation of Islam, Minister Farrakhan. I know you've been around for a minute, because you always tell the young brothers here, you youngsters don't really remember this. When was the first time that, I mean, obviously you in your 40s or 50s here. When was the first time that you've heard a Nation of Islam, or not Nation of Islam, but Minister Louis Farrakhan? When did you first start being familiar with some of his work and some of his rhetoric?
Well, brother, wow. I have to say it goes all the way back to when I was pretty much probably either my junior or senior year of 8th grade going into high school. So we're talking about when I was basically a teenager, very young, hearing him speak. And the first time I've heard him speak, and I've seen him speak live, by the way, Brother O'Shea. And when I lived in Oakland, it was the first time outside of Malcolm X, because Malcolm X was my first introduction, to be quite honest with you, as it was for many people, was my first introduction to the Nation of Islam. And so it was the first time outside of someone like Malcolm X that I've read about and I looked at videos of, to hear someone who kind of talked in that same similar tone, but to hear them alive and in the flesh. So it was very powerful. It was very, you get to a point where, hey, I'd never heard a black man speak like this in the way he speaks. So that was my first time. I mean, I was in high school. I was coming out of junior high school. It was very young. We're talking about early 80s, super early 80s, man. 83, 84, around that period of time, 82. It's when he started to ring in my ears. And I've always been around people growing up that were very much into political activism. Yes, sir.
Let me kind of go back to what you talked about. You said this is one of the first time you're hearing a black man speak like this. Speaking like what? Can you be more? What you're talking about when you say you're hearing him speak like this?
Well, a lot of times people speak in a polite manner, not to upset the apple cart or upset white society. So outside of Malcolm X, listening to Farrakhan, what I liked is that he was bold, he was strong, and he was not afraid to say the things that he said that would actually be something that would upset white society, that would cause white society to be concerned. A lot of times, you would be used to more of a let's get along, let's get along to get along, right? You have people who sort of talk in a passive manner. You've heard things like people say, let's not get white folks upset. You can't talk like that. Black men have always been told, have been censored. And in many ways, we've been censored by even our own community not to talk this way, not to say that. The white man don't like what you're saying. Being concerned about your job, losing your job. Whereas Farrakhan, he didn't have to worry about if he said something that when he went to work on Monday, that the white man was going to hold him back, as we say on your program, or fire him, because he was independent. He owned his own. And that is one of the things that resonated to me, that the message is about doing for self. A lot of black folks that say that they're conservative, what do conservatives always talk about? Doing for self. So Farrakhan was saying a message that you didn't normally hear black men saying post Malcolm X, because you had Jesse Jackson saying, keep hope alive, and that kind of talk, but you never heard someone really stick it to the system and really wake black men up to be strong, upright, and not be afraid to speak the truth. And the thing about Farrakhan that I find interesting is, much as people criticize him, you ever notice this, brother, as much as he's criticized for things that he may say that people find inflammatory, you notice that no one says that he's a liar. No one has ever come out and said, oh, what Farrakhan said about this group or what he said about this research, he was lying, it was false. They never debate whether what he's saying is based in truth, based on history, but they just don't like the man. And
let me the Native Negro, thank you for the super chat. Brother, let me say this. I thank you for I just sent the email back with the making sure I was okay. People Jackson, good to hear from you, brother. Thank you so much. Krillin, this is nothing to do with color, Alex Jamaican. Okay, let me kind of talk about you said that some of the things that he was saying, nobody would say that he was wrong. What exactly are these things that he was saying that were right, but that were just really pissing off America? Can you talk about some of the things that if you can remember?
Well,
what was some of the language he was using?
One of the main threats, or what is seen as a threat, is when he talks about Jewish people or the Jewish religion. And what he said, when you do the research, Farrakhan has always said that he's used the actual scholars, Jewish scholars, who spoke of the involvement of Jewish people, their involvement in the slave trade, in terms of their involvement economically in having ships built that were brought over to capture us. So when Farrakhan talks about their role as it relates to the triangular slave trade and their role in the oppression of Black people, their role in being one of the first people to introduce this thing called credit, when they would have businesses in the Black community and they would sort of rip Black people off with this whole credit thing that we have today with credit cards. So when Farrakhan talks about the ills of what they've done to Black people, he is automatically called an anti-Semitic. But he often is quoting documents and passages, and messages and information that is coming directly from their Jewish historical authors. And he always cites that. But even when he cites that his information comes from their own author, and he can show you the book in hand, he can give you the name, he can quote everything, all right? Footnoted the whole 9 yards, he will be called evil. And so what Farrakhan often talks about is that, if you notice in this society, you can actually criticize any group. You can talk about the Catholics and the Catholic Church and how they touch children, okay? You can talk about Asian people, all groups. Nowadays, we got the whole hatred towards people that are Muslim, people that are Middle Eastern, right? So you can talk about other groups. You can talk about Black people like a dog on social media and in the news. And when you confront people about that hatred or that type of speech, they'll simply say, oh, I didn't know, I was kidding. You can't hold me accountable for the ills and the things that my forefathers did in the past. But then when it comes to Israel and Jewish people, or people of Jewish faith, when you have any criticism levied upon them, then there is a problem. You're in a lot of trouble. And I'm going to be honest with you too, brother, because I was listening to brother Malcolm Fletch TV. He's a good brother. You've got to check him out. He did a video that was mind-opening, and that video showed how they actually have algorithms, or they actually have systems on these social medias to look for anything that gives a negative slant towards Israel or Jewish people. So if you got this, so they'll make sure that they bury your content deep away when there's anything that is negative towards Israel. And so because Farrakhan has been outspoken in speaking upon these issues, he is given this title of hate speech. Check this out. The Nation of Islam under Honorable Louis Farrakhan, produced a book called A Secret Relationship Between Jews and Black People. And in that book, he cited the same things that I'm talking about. but the relationship was not a rosy relationship whatsoever. And guess what happened? Amazon kicked the book off of its list. You can't even buy the book off of Amazon. You can't do anything. And we're in a country that says that there's freedom of speech. And yet, Farrakhan does not have a record of saying go out and kill someone. He's never said go out Nation of Islam, go out Fruits of Islam, go out and kill people of certain faith, do harm. You don't have any history or record of the Nation of Islam under Louis Farrakhan going out and committing what we would call terrorist acts, blowing up buildings, talking about hurting people, killing people. We do know that these white supremacist groups that they lumped Farrakhan in with have a history and a record of doing disastrous type things, blowing up churches. I mean, all these church bombings that are going on, that have happened not too long ago, O'Shea, they're all being linked to these hate type groups. When you look at Ruth Dillon, where did he get his ideology from? He got it from this white supremacist hate ideology, which caused him to go into church and kill 9 beautiful black people. When has the Nation of Islam or Farrakhan made those type of campaigns? He has not done that. He has simply used scholarly information that he has researched and said, this is what the relationship has been with us in Jewish people or Jewish people of Jewish faith historically in America. And when he talks about that, he doesn't say, no, let's kill them, but he does preach separation in terms of we need to do for self and not depend on others. So that's where this whole thing gets a little bit like skewed. Like, wait a minute. When has, even if you don't like his rhetoric, he's never commanded his followers to go out and do criminal activity. When does that happen? If anything, he has done things to empower black men, black women to be the best of ourselves. So that's something to really, look at.
Yeah, let me ask you this. And guys, thank you so much for the support on Super Chat. I'm gonna ask those questions. Do me a favor and get the likes up. The chat is going crazy real fast. Let me talk about this. I want to get to shout out to Brother Moses Jenkins for the PayPal. I want to let's revert to some of the stuff that's being said about Farrakhan now.
Okay. Because
people will say, all right, Farrakhan was saying some of those things then. The nation often their stance towards talking about white people. He's old now. He has cancer and all these things. He doesn't use such language now. Why are they kicking him off now when he doesn't? I'm not sure if this is true, but he doesn't talk with that same tonality in these days. In fact, one would argue that, I know him and Khalil Muhammad. Khalil Muhammad was the, I think, national spokesperson for the Nation of Islam. And Khalil Muhammad was saying some things about the Nation of Islam. And even Khalil Muhammad was kicked out, disfellowshipped, if you will, for saying some things. What would you say? Like, why would Facebook wait until now to kick him off of social media?
Well, first of all, let me give all praises to Khalid Muhammad. I had the pleasure of meeting him when he was in Berkeley, California, many years ago when I was still in college. Met the brother. He gave me a leaflet to one of his speeches. The brother was humble. He didn't have a whole bunch of entourage around him. So that was like a great moment for me to meet the brother. But let me just say this. When you look at Facebook, I'm going to say this clear as day. Facebook, on the one hand, is a big fat hypocrite. On the other hand, Facebook, and I'll tell you why. On the other hand, Facebook is sort of a private, it's a private company to a certain degree, even though they've gone public. So the truth of the matter is, when you talk about freedom of speech, your freedom of speech is protected by the government. However, Facebook is not the government. So they actually do have the right to a certain degree, whether we like it or not, I don't like it, to censor you if they feel that what you're saying is damaging. However,
information is power.
Banned Alex Jones. I'm going to tell you the connection between Alex Jones and Louis Farrakhan too, Brother O'Shea. They banned Alex Jones and a few other these alt-right and type of white supremacist type of outfits out there, groups, and all the underlings that fall under these folks, a bunch of people. Now, I think that this is happening because of political pressure. Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook has been getting a lot of political pressure on them ever since the Cambridge Analytica scandal broke. This is why they're a hypocrite. On the one hand, they want to say, let's get rid of these people who we deem as hate speech. And then they lump Farrakhan in with these folks. I personally believe that they did what they did by putting the black man in it, put the Negro in it, because they wanted to make it look nice and spicy and everything all nice. They wanted to make it look like, hey, we're not just going after the white hate groups, but we're going to go after this Negro too, who, like you said, O'Shea, hasn't really been using Facebook to espouse anything of hate speech in his older years. Okay, he hasn't been saying anything hateful, but they put him in there almost as like, I'm gonna give you the shoes, I'm gonna give you the pants, the shirt, and the tie as accessory. So here goes the Negro that you know we really all hate. Even though the Negro hasn't said anything, we're gonna get him for his past transactions. So let's lump him in there on top of the cake and make it look all good. So I think this was a political move. It was a political move for Facebook because of the bad press that they've gotten over the last year, going out of 2017 into this year. I mean, into 2018 and now into this year. And I think it makes it look really nice to show, hey, we're going after everybody, the white people that you don't like and the black people that you don't like. So Farrakhan represents the whole, like the whole shaflay. We got him now. He's out of there, right? So what they've done in their hypocrisy is that if they're really concerned about hate speech and their people on Facebook being protected, then the question you must ask is, why did Facebook, along with Mark Zuckerberg, his company, why did they allow during the election with Trump and others, why did they allow them to manipulate their users through letting people get your followers? Why did they allow their algorithms to figure out your patterns and what your political views were? Why did they do that without our permission? Why did they violate us like that by going into Facebook and taking people who follow me and pushing certain political propaganda, whether negative or positive? Why did they do that? Cambridge Analytica, it broke the door wide open on the fact that you can't trust Facebook. You can't trust what they're doing and how they're using your personal information. So if they're so concerned about their users being exposed to lies and stuff, why did they allow us to be manipulated, some of us, politically in a very damaging manner? But now all of a sudden they want to jump on Farrakhan and they want to jump on all these other white dudes out here that are into this whole hate stuff. They want to get rid of them. This is my thing. Whether I don't like Alex Jones, or I don't like these alt-right or these hate groups, I'm not going to sit up here and be intellectually dishonest with any of you listening, or you, O'Shea. They do have a right to freedom of speech, even if it's something that I do not like. So even if Farrakhan is saying things that you do not like, he does have a right to freedom of speech. However, it becomes a pickle because he's using a independent platform that is not protected under the laws of our government. They make their own rules, but they are at the same time, Facebook is a big fat hypocrite because of their practices, which has caused people to leave Facebook. So, and this is another thing too. Going back to I'm going to go with the connection between Farrakhan and Alex Jones. I believe, and I was listening to Brother Rizza, who is a member of the nation, a very respected brother. Brother Rizza said some powerful things when I was listening to his video, and he says that he believes that Alex Jones went downhill and they lumped Farrakhan in with him because Farrakhan, he interviewed Farrakhan, and he feels that there's a relationship between when Farrakhan interviewed, when Alex Jones interviewed Farrakhan, that's when Alex Jones was done for. Stick a fork in him. You could take that all the way back to Arsenio Hall. Arsenio Hall had Farrakhan on his show, and what happened? The rest is history. Arsenio Hall lost his show eventually. So there is some correlation to when you interview a guy like Farrakhan and the higher ups or the CEOs or whatever, they don't like it and they get rid of you. I believe that Farrakhan was lumped in like he was. Alex Jones was paid a price because of his connection to Louis Farrakhan based on interviewing Farrakhan. That's what I believe as well. That's what RZA was talking about. There's a connection here. There's also, let's keep this in mind too, that Farrakhan has been very outspoken about viruses. He's been very outspoken about what's happening over in Venezuela, warning America to stay out of Venezuela. Farrakhan has also been very powerful in the things that he has said about how America is a hypocrite because we talk about we're against terrorism and hate speech and people that are about hate, but yet we support Saudi Arabia because of the oil cartel trade we have with them. Because Saudi Arabia it's well documented that they torture their people, they kill, they are involved in terrorism as well. During 9/11, those Arabs that were in those planes, so they told us, that crashed those planes, they said it was documented that they were all from Saudi Arabia. But yet this country didn't go after Saudi Arabia, they went after Iraq and everybody else and their mama. So when Farrakhan is opening up the masses and the minds and talking about don't take these damn vaccines, don't take that vaccine down there in New York, don't take these vaccines, that they want to start vaccinating our children, whether we want them to do it or not, going into 2020, 21, 22, he's a piper of giving us knowledge. So you have to shut him up because they don't want the masses. This is what I believe, O'Shea. They don't want the masses of our people being woke up. But a man that's a messenger like Farrakhan, whether you like him or not, he is giving a message that's based in truth. And no one has ever refuted that what he says is the truth. So what better way to demonize him, make him a hate monger, say he's about hate, so that you have white people turn against him, quite obviously. We'll have black people turn against him. Now you shut his mouth up, you shut down the message, you shut the man down. So what are your thoughts?
No, very, very, very good. Get good information. You breaking down that's why you are the information man. I'm sitting here, learning myself on this, and I was asleep, but I'm now woke up because of who? The information man. But let me just do this real quick. Brothers, come in and what'd you say?
I'm playing a little sound effect. That's all. Go ahead, brother. I'm podcasting this as well, brother. Go ahead.
Okay. Let me do this. Let me go ahead on and again, shout out to my brother, Native Negro, Rain Knights, Krillin 876. This has next to George Megan, Super Slide 75. NOI Burgers on the Gram. Who wants some? Gregory White again. Green Brother say, make it a habit of putting your PayPal link in the stream in the future. I no longer wish to provide YouTube with 30% of my donations. Thank you, brother Gregory White. RBR Network, $10. Obaguale, false views, aka a false convert or something like that. I don't know what he said. But Josh Quick, increase the Peace Brothers. Omega Grids Gaming Channel. We must me ready to have a brilliant organization of classes to keep everything going as planned. And megalomaniac human instrumentality. Cog the machines will. King Nick. Alex Jones was unpersoned due to his Sandy references, not due to Louis Farrakhan. Let me kind of get back. Go ahead. You want to respond to that?
Yeah, I want to respond to that. Yes. Alex Jones was saying things that were incendiary and not true. Anytime you say that what happened in Sandy Hook was a fake, that there weren't kids killed, that is incendiary. What he says, he's lying. Yes, I'm saying that what put the icing on top of the cake is his connection to Farrakhan as it relates to the interview. So Alex Jones was already in thin ice, but then when he connected to Farrakhan, who's seen as a hate monger, that also added to them having to get rid of him. So I'm not saying it was just Farrakhan alone, but Farrakhan did play a role in them finally putting the axe on him. because prior to his interview with Farrakhan, they hadn't even kicked him off of YouTube yet or any of these social medias quite completely yet. So it's all a combination of what we call as yee gaga, just a whole bunch of stuff. So let me just stay there. And let me also say this too, O'Shea, because I know my man Super Sly is going to probably say this. This is another case that Black folks need to have their own media. Two, this is another case that we don't own Facebook. So Farrakhan, I know we can say that this is foul play on Facebook, but at the end of the day, we don't own Facebook. We don't have a Black Facebook. All right. So it was bound to happen sooner or later because you got a platform that's not owned by Black people. So quite obviously, if you're saying things that they don't like and agree with, and it hurts their economic bottom line, because like YouTube, Facebook has got advertisers to answer to as well, they're going to kick you off. So I'm not unrealistic to that fact that's also that there's a corporate and political reasoning, and then there's the man himself and the character himself and what he thinks and says that people are concerned with. So it's a combination of things, brother. Yes.
Let me do this, right? I gotta be negative Nancy, but let me kind of talk about all of the African Americans who say that they are upset about the fact that Farrakhan has been kicked off of social media. I believe that Snoop Dogg calls for support. He basically says that he dares Facebook and Instagram to ban him. Now there are other people, even Dr. Boyce Watkins. He made a stream. I watched that stream, and he was talking about how it was wrong for Facebook to ban Louis Farrakhan, but yet he's using Facebook to complain about Louis Farrakhan being banned. And somebody made the point that African Americans who love Louis Farrakhan, they should just stop with the bullshit, because they're not going to stop using Facebook. They're not going to stop using Instagram. They're not going to stand by removing their membership from Facebook or Instagram to prove their point that what is happening to Louis Farrakhan is unjust. So those people, Facebook or Instagram, they already know that if they ban Louis Farrakhan, that there's not going to be any repercussions about what has happened, and African Americans or Black people in America are there's they're not going to lose any steam and they don't have any support from these people. And Black people in America really don't fuck with Farrakhan like that. Even people like Reza Islam, he's not going to stop using his Instagram, because I believe he just now starting to blow up on Instagram and Facebook, and then he has a lot of followers. So he's not going to stop using that in support of Louis Farrakhan. What would you say to somebody who just says that these people are just really clout chasing and really don't give a damn about Farrakhan, coming or going?
Well, let me just say this, O'Shea. I listened to Reza. So before we assume what he's going to do or not do, I listened to his latest video. Of course, he's got about 7,000 followers on YouTube, and he's already vowed. This is what he has said, as I've heard it prior to coming on here with you. He's already vowed, Reza has already vowed that he's not going to be using Facebook because of what they did to Minister Louis Farrakhan. And he says that he's about through. He says he's through with Instagram as well. He says that you can find him on YouTube, but he's not going to deal with the other two platforms since they're linked to each other. That's what Reza said out of his mouth when I listened to him prior to coming on here with you, brother. So that's what he has said out of his mouth. Two, you're absolutely right. Black people, we can be extremely hypocritical. If we are truly not happy about what they did to Farrakhan, and we're behind Farrakhan and the nation is on 110%, then if you're going to be about that talk, then you need to get off of Facebook. So I think it is kind of ridiculous that someone like Boyce is on Facebook making the statements that he made. And I heard his video too prior to coming on here, and he said that it was really a shame, right? But yet he's on Facebook himself. And then at the same time, he says how Facebook has banned him many times. So if you don't like what they did to Farrakhan and you've been banned yourself, That's a very valid question, O'Shea. Why are you on it? And any black person that's on Facebook still that's very passionate about what happened to Farrakhan, then my question would be, why are you still on Facebook? Are you going to continue being on Facebook? And then the question has to be, if you are going to stay on Facebook, why? Even though they took someone off that you really, so these are very valid questions.
Okay, let me do this. And guys, thank you for the support. I'm gonna read out those super chats when I get a chance. Do me a favor and get the likes up on the videos. 552. Who is not subscribed to Information Man? Please let me know. Let me kind of talk about some things. I made a Patreon video. I have my own personal feelings about Louis Farrakhan, which will not be shared today. Some of those things are quite pejorative. I will say that, but I'll leave that for. I have my own feeling. Yes. Let me kind of get off the tangent. All right. Some people think, and we're kind of getting off of Farrakhan being on Facebook. Okay. There are a group of African Americans feel like, number one, Louis Farrakhan has no real business being a voice for African Americans at all, because he is a Caribbean. Okay. After he's a, you know the hashtag ADOS thing. Yes. He's not really one of our people. He's another person, right? We would never be able to. African Americans would never be able to lead a Caribbean community. Number two, Louis Farrakhan is the same person. His rhetoric was what was instrumental when he was X should be put to death, when Malcolm X was telling the truth about Elijah Muhammad. And then he also, in at the 1995, I think, if it was Savior's Day, he said that what business is it of yours how we dealt with a traitor? Now, when we get back to this whole idea of hate speech, and I'm one of those people, when I look at the latter part of that, and I have to say, a lot of people would say that his speech or tonality, 1983 Savior's Day, thank you, Power Strategy, that was instrumental. And I won't say that, I mean, obviously that was influenced, but that what he said got Malcolm X killed. So Farrakhan has a history of somewhat running his mouth and saying certain things that got, one of the greatest black leaders. Even Farrakhan will say that, I was better than Malcolm X. I did more for the community than Malcolm X. And it kind of comes back to this for some people. What do you have to say about that? About what happened between Louis Farrakhan and Malcolm X?
Well, Farrakhan admits that he was a young man. Elijah Muhammad was a leader of his that he looked up to. You got to remember, Farrakhan was about 16 years old. If I'm not mistaken, with you being in medical school, your brain doesn't fully develop until about after 25 years old. So he was operating off of an adolescent's brain, operating off of high testosterone and emotions. And he admitted himself that he said some things that he wished he had not said. And he has admitted that he feels that he might have contributed to the atmosphere which caused Malcolm X to be no longer with us. However, we know that Malcolm X's battle was mainly his issues were with the leader Elijah Muhammad. So he was very unhappy with him. And there's some other information. I was listening to my brother Malcolm Flesh TV. There's some other stuff about why Malcolm X said the things that he said that a lot of people don't know about, that I've learned that people didn't know about. But that's not where I'm not going to sidetrack us into that area. But I do agree that Farrakhan said some things, contribute to an atmosphere, and he admits it himself. And I'll be honest with you, O'Shea, I had a hard time reconciling myself with that too, with the brother. I had a hard time because I couldn't put in my head, well, why would he do that? But at the same time, I wasn't living then. Like I said, he was a young man. You got to put yourself in his shoes. If someone was talking about your leader that you looked up to, and just start talking some smack about him, and that leader of yours was responsible for bringing him into the fold, wouldn't you feel some kind of way if they start talking smack about someone that you heavily looked up to? And, let's be honest, two things that Black people have a strong connection to is that we get caught up in symbolisms, and we get caught up into people that we like. That and it also works to our detriment, because we go by who we like and how they make us feel. And that can be our detriment. And so Farrakhan is no different than any other man. He went with how he felt and who he looked up to. He was caught into the symbolism of who he looked up to and how that man made him feel. And then to hear Malcolm say things about him that was disparaging him in his mind, he said what he said as a young 16-year-old man. And maybe you don't like what he said because Malcolm ultimately got killed. But let's keep this in mind: the government, along with some Negroes, are responsible for Malcolm being assassinated like he was.
I believe Louis Farrakhan was born in 1933. He's 85. 16, he would have been in 1949. So I think he was a little older. He's almost 30 when. So let me ask you this. So I get what you're saying. Well, no matter the age of what he was.
No, but correct.
Yeah, so I get that point. But let me ask you this. If that's the case, there is a Savior's Day, because if I'm not mistaken, Malcolm X's issue, after being wrongfully silenced the same way that Louis Farrakhan silenced Khalil Muhammad, it was a very similar situation.
Yes.
There's some things that were said. He was also silenced. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Malcolm X is the person that exposed or made public that Elijah Muhammad had these affairs going on behind the scenes.
Okay. And
not only did Elijah Muhammad have these affairs going on behind the scenes, but Elijah Muhammad got these women pregnant. And then after he got them pregnant, he allowed them to be disfellowshipped from the Nation of Islam and be kicked out, even though he was the culprit. Okay. And this is what Malcolm X exposed. Now, Farrakhan, who was upset about that, and then at a later Savior's Day, I don't know if it was 94, 95, 2000, something like that, Farrakhan, the remaining wives that were, the remaining women that were alive, Farrakhan made a really, really bad decision, in my opinion, as presenting these women as the wives of Elijah Muhammad. But if they were the wives of Elijah Muhammad, why would these women be disfellowshipped at that time? Which goes to prove that, you said that you were sorry, but then you go back and try to clean it up by presenting these women who Elijah Muhammad had no business sleeping with. You try to clean it up as these are the wives of Elijah Muhammad, which I thought, and at that point, I lost all respect. Me personally, I don't really have a whole lot of respect for Louis Farrakhan based off of that. But I don't think, I mean, he has a lot of good things to say, but that kind of thing, that kind of bothered me personally. And I'll leave it there. I'm not going to get into attacking the minister, but I mean, I just, that was a lot for me. What would you have to say about that? Because that kind of rubbed a lot of people the wrong way.
Well, that's true. If they were the wives of Elijah, why would you, Muhammad, why would you disfellowship them from the nation? I have to agree with you. However, brother, there's some other information that's out there that a lot of us haven't been exposed to. People think that Malcolm X simply decided to expose his follower and teacher because he was messing with underage young ladies. Well, however, brother, some of these women have come out recently and said that they were not underage, that some of the women, there's another perspective to this, that some of the women were actually, they were of the adult age, 18, 19, 22. So these weren't necessarily women that were underage, although they might have been younger than the teacher was, Elijah Muhammad. But they were actually involved with him under consent. Now, another story that's out there is that, and I'm talking to Brother Malcolm Fletch about this. Farrakhan, Malcolm X was supposed to marry another woman, and that woman, for whatever the reason, he decided not to marry her, but it was a woman that he had some feelings for. And this is what I mean when I say, no matter how much of a leader someone is, how well they speak, we're still human. We're still blood and flesh. Malcolm X, according to them, had some jealousy towards Elijah Muhammad because he ended up marrying this woman and having relations with her. And when that happened, as the story goes, Malcolm X was very upset with his leader because he got involved with a woman that he coveted. So it's just like if I was a female that I still kind of like, and then you turn around, O'Shea, and you get with her, depending on my temperament, I might feel some kind of way about that and want to discredit you. So that's the other side of this story, that they're saying that this happened out of the fact that Malcolm was not happy with his leader and teacher taking on a woman that he was almost about to marry. Okay.
Oh, okay. I did hear that.
And since this happened, some of these women have come forward and they have said that these women were not kicked out. These are women who said, no, I married the leader and I was of adult age. Matter of fact, one of them had a child and the son grew up, I think in Chicago, and is doing very well. One of the children, I think even Farrakhan's son married one of the daughters that is an offspring of the leader. So what I'm saying to you is there's also another side to this story that may conflict the story that we've all been taught, which is it was just Malcolm X being disappointed that he was with underage women when some of these women were actually of age. And one of them in particular, he was sweet on, and his leader coveted that woman, and he didn't like that. And let's be honest, brothers get upset with each other all the time over women.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. No,
okay?
I would agree.
There have been wars fought in this world, this universe, this world, in history. Troy, all right? Look at all the battles in the past. They were fought over a man's love for a woman, a man's betrayal because of a woman. Come on, Samson, he got betrayed for, what did he do for, he got his hair all cut and he got all lustied up over a woman. King Solomon, who was told by God, and you can have all the riches in the world, all the kingdoms and all the women you want, but don't mess around with those women over there in Egypt that were considered evil, right? And what did he do? He did that and he went against God's commandments. And then what happened? He crumbled. History is laden in that. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, and guys, I see Taz. A lot of people I see have a new page. People, I'm gonna have an interesting panel. It's gonna be crazy tonight. It's gonna be cracking. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be an epic show. So thank you for the super chats. I'm gonna read those off. Give me about 2 more questions, and make sure that you like the video. We got 640 people in here watching right now. Make sure you like the video. Let me kind of get it back to the topic. I know we had to get a little bit off.
Yeah, that's okay.
Because it's this is a very controversial subject. Farrakhan is controversial in itself. He has a lot of good things to say. I won't take away from a lot of things, because I look at the good and the bad in people. I do have a respect for the fact that he did rebuild the Nation of Islam after what's Elijah Muhammad's son who went to
he was
his son went to mainstream. He took the nation and went to mainstream Islam, but he's now dead. I forgot what his son was. But his son was also always in trouble. Wallace Muhammad. Yeah. Wallace Muhammad. Yeah. Okay. So Farrakhan has done a lot of good things that I do personally like. I like the level. There's some good things. I like the Nation of Islam school that they have. There are some things I like that Farrakhan has done. Don't get it twisted. There are a lot of things I think that he's done right. But let me kind of get back to this point. Farrakhan has also been accused of, okay, you want to talk about that, and I'm not really knowledgeable on this, but the Church of Scientology.
Okay.
This is another thing
Okay.
that a lot of people bring out. All right, Farrakhan, you talk about L. Ron Hubbard, the white man is this and that, but man, Farrakhan, is your message for sale? Because L. Ron Hubbard is one of the biggest known racists supposedly that's ever lived in any sort of Christian sect, and the Nation of Islam has some form of agreement with the Church of Scientology. So, what I mean, I know that's kind of kind of getting off there, but these are some of the criticisms that he's had, and also, let's deal with that. What do you think about this whole Church of Scientology thing? And did Farrakhan really believe what?
I just want to say to everybody out there listening, thank you for listening to the program. This is a rebroadcast of an interview that I did on O'Shea Duke Jackson's program, but I am live. Thank you, everyone that's coming to the chat room. I appreciate you being here. If I have not said your name, it is no disrespect to you. I just want to keep the integrity of the audio that I've been playing. But I thank you. Go ahead and follow each other. You can put a check mark next to each person's avatar name, representing that you are now following and supporting their channel. So everyone in the chat room, go right ahead and do that. There's some great people out there. Support each other. The D Forbidden Fruit. I'm glad that you're here, Mary Jane. Life with Raza. I love you, sister. But brother Dubian, you're the greatest, brother. And these kind of conversations that we're having are very sensitive conversations. I did my best to say, to break things down as best I can. It's a very sensitive issue. But the reason why I wanted to record this for folks who might have not heard this interview is because this is about censorship. And what has happened to Honorable Louis Farrakhan can happen to any of us using YouTube. Many people on YouTube have had their channels snatched up, their channels censored. They've lost their ability to live stream. A variety of things have happened on YouTube. So all of us can be victims of being censored. And you don't even have to necessarily always say inflammatory things. Brother Ben X, who I had a beautiful opportunity to interview, he got his channel taken down. And he is a brother who's very respectful, doesn't use profanity. And I think simply because he is a member of the nation and he would show footage of the minister Louis Farrakhan, I think YouTube was not happy with that. Now, so we all can be censored in so many different ways through social media. And I believe, as I said earlier, is that this is based on political pressure. Facebook has been under political pressure. And as I also mentioned before, Facebook is kind of hypocritical because all of you heard, I hope all of you heard about the Cambridge Analytica, the whistleblower who came out and said how Facebook was using our personal data, our political views, our algorithms of how we operate our Facebook to sell this information when it came to the political campaign when Donald Trump was running for president. So Facebook themselves has been very wrong in the way they have used our information, targeting people who follow us on Facebook. And then on the same time, they turn around and they want to censor. And even if I don't agree with Alex Jones or any of these groups that they've taken off because they want to show us that they are against hate speech and they're against A, B, and C, it still doesn't change the fact that Facebook has done other things to be unreputable and unethical towards its own users of its platform. And it's funny how no one wants to talk about that anymore. So with that said, I really appreciate you all being here. I'm going to continue this live broadcast. Okay. And
Tell the truth. Now, let's get back to the Information Man show.
He was saying, if you're getting this hate speech, you're talking about the things that white people have done to black people, and you went down and got criticized for that, then how is your message changing You went on Donahue and said, you know, white people can, you know, one day will be a part of the Nation of Islam. I think somebody said that there was a white person in the Nation of Islam. What do you think about certain things that people have said that maybe has been critical or hypocritical on?
Well, I've been hearing this whole thing about their taking in the teachings of the Scientology.
Yeah.
I personally don't think that Scientology, the guy who created it, if you know his history, he was pretty much a fraud. He lied. He tried to act like he was a world traveler. You know, he's almost similar to the guy who founded the Jehovah's Witness religion. Very fraudulent individual. Now, this is my question, and maybe I'm ignorant to this, you know, Shay, and you can educate me tonight or anyone. Where have any of us seen the documents, the paperwork, the evidence that shows that the Nation of Islam is in cahoots with Scientology? Because you've also had rumors out there that it was the nation under Elijah Muhammad that cut some type of deal with the Ku Klux Klan. That the Ku Klux Klan likes the nation because the nation talks about separation and doing for self, and the Ku Klux Klan and white, you know, hate. They want separation. They want to have their own white world. They don't want black men marrying white women. So there's always been that talk about, was there a collaboration between the nation with the Ku Klux Klan? You've heard that rumor before. I'm not here to say that it is, because I don't have the facts on that. So the same thing with Scientology. Do we have the paperwork on this? Where's the receipts? Because everyone is saying this, but where are the receipts?
Where are the receipts? Right.
Thank you. So if anybody who comes on this panel tonight, and I'm open to have an open mind to any knowledge that anybody brings to the table tonight. If somebody comes on here with receipts, or they have a way to where I can find the evidence, right? Then into that, all we're doing is speculating. Now, I think people are thinking this because the nation, or maybe Farrakhan, has made mention of some of their philosophies, Scientology philosophies, and how it can work for you. Well, maybe he's done that. But you know, guess what? Guess what, O'Shea and everyone listening? A lot of organizations and a lot of people have said that there's some things in Scientology that actually does work, even though you may not like the man who created. Just like you just said yourself, you're not a big fan of Farrakhan, and there's many people that aren't. But there are some things about the nation that they're doing with kids and family that you do.
A lot of things I do like,
and about having your own business. So let's not be hypocrites here. We all subscribe to something that works for us, but we may not like the founder of it or the man. Because come on now, a lot of black people are Christian, but we know with the new slave Bible coming out that Christianity was used to enslave our minds, and that the white Jesus was given to us. And despite the fact that the white Jesus was given to us, there are black people that will still say, well, the word is what matters, right? Like, I remember when I was a kid, and I would say, why they always got white people illustrated in the Bibles and all the religious pamphlets? And I had the, you know, and the woman would say to me, because I used to go Jehovah's Witness type stuff, because part of my family is involved in Jehovah's Witness, or were involved in Jehovah's Witness. And I would say, why has it always got white people illustrated? And she would say, don't worry about that, honey. It's about the word. It's about God's word. If his word is true. So we all are guilty of following stuff that has flaws in it. Now, are we or are we not? O'Shea.
No, we are. I would never disagree with that at all. Well, you know I ain't shit, so I'm just not even going. I'm not even gonna play the role with. I ain't gonna play a role with nobody tonight.
But if somebody shows us the receipts, stock, lock, and barrel of it, then you've changed my mind in tonight completely.
Let me kind of get it back to this real quick, because I want to talk about the topic is Farrakhan being kicked off of Facebook racist. Some people are gonna say, well, let me ask you this: do you think this is a sign of racism? but they're targeting Farrakhan because he's black and some of the things that he said. Do you feel that way? You personally?
I do. Although Facebook has a right to do what they feel they need to do, I do think it is a manifestation of racism, because even though, see, don't get fooled by the semantics of the fact that they got rid of some of the white folks that are quote unquote hate, right? That are hate, right? But prior to them getting rid of Alex Jones and all the rest of them that they did, they were already effing with Farrakhan. Like I told you, they won't let you buy his books on Amazon. I believe, matter of fact, he can't even speak on certain college campuses. I think he can't even, they took away his passport to go speak over in I think
he can't go to London, right?
He can't go to London.
He's banned in the UK.
Yeah. So he's banned in the UK. He can't,
something like that, yeah.
He can't go to certain college campuses and speak. He can't do certain things within the country, right? Even though he's quote unquote an American citizen, and even though he's supposed to be protected under freedom of speech under the laws of this country, Farrakhan was already being censored and attacked. No matter how you think about him, okay, personally, he was already being attacked and censored prior to all these other groups that are now finally being censored on Facebook. After all these years that they've been allowed to run around and spew while they were spewing their garbage, Farrakhan was already being purged off of different medias. But one thing I have to be honest about, because I know somebody is going to come on the panel and bring this up. This still remains an example of Black people as a collective whole, our failure in creating media platforms in which we can flourish without the concern about being censored. Now, I don't know if you know this, Brother O'Shea. I did the first interview with Brother Youssef, who is the owner of Black Junction TV. The brother has gone through struggles trying to get that platform stay on its feet. It's a 4 man operation now. And I interviewed him, and one of the things we were concerned about is, has he taken corporate money? Has he done A, B, and C? He said he purposely did not want to take in corporate money because he wanted it to be a platform where Black people could speak their mind and not be censored, right? And so that's why when Black people laugh at him and his platform and say, "Oh, this Negro, what is he doing over there?" Well, he can't get as fast as Facebook. YouTube or even a Facebook, because that would be his direct competition, and they don't want Negroes going over to his platform and let him have all the bells and whistles on his platform. And then what's so sad about it, O'Shea, is that I pay about $10 a month to support the brother's channel, and I don't really see Black people supporting Black Junction TV like they should. Even though we whine and cry about if we had a media, we would support it. When we got something, we don't support it. And YouTube, even though we don't own YouTube, YouTube would not be what it is if it was not for Black content creators. So if we could help contribute to YouTube's success, why can't we do the same for a Black platform that's trying to get itself off the ground to do something great? And I talked to the brother, he means well for us, but we don't support him like we should, which is why I don't want to hear people bumping their gums on YouTube about having your own damn media when we don't even support his media like we should. We should shut our mouths up because we don't support our own. So this is an example. Farrakhan's gone, and those of us who are upset, we have to look at ourselves and say, why haven't we created a platform? And this might be controversial what I'm going to say. Could the Nation of Islam, could they have created a platform? I know for a fact that they do have what do you call that? Solid cat. They have these things where Farrakhan will have, when he speaks somewhere, they have what do you call that? Satellite cast or whatever kind of, where they Skype it or whatever. They have ways that you can hear him speak, but they don't have an actual media platform the way Facebook is operating on that kind of level. So my question is, since the Nation does for themselves and they have infrastructure, maybe they should consider creating their own type of Facebook YouTube type system where they can speak their mind and they can invite all of us to be a part of. Okay.
Let me ask you this. When it comes to this criticism, okay, the Nation of Islam, nobody will say that they were not right, or Louis Farrakhan was not right. He was right. But the thing about it is, he was right without the backing and without the infrastructure to move in a way to gain power. In other words, somewhat similar, and I'm definitely not making the black struggle equal to the struggle of Arabs, or the struggle of Jews, or the struggles of Hispanics or gays. But the other people, even though their struggle is not the same, right? We know, but I'm just using it as an example. That Minister Farrakhan was using rhetoric that was very strong, that stopped the nation from gaining a lot more financial power and gaining more. And also, the Nation of Islam doesn't believe in serving in the military. It doesn't believe in serving in the government. So these things, which you need to gain power, Farrakhan was not interested in. And because of that, even though he was right, he took the wrong approach, which ended up with him and the Nation of Islam not having a lot of power in the black community. They didn't get invested into some of the immediate things that they should have gotten into, because he didn't focus on the tasks at hand, which were gaining power, using his connections to get more resources, using his connections to influence politicians and things like that, which would allow him to be able to get people in other positions of authority to basically help the nation further its message. But he was so focused on white people and not focused on building the nation as far as the infrastructural thing. So basically, to some people, it may be that you can be right in America and have the right message, but if you don't have the money and you don't have the power behind what you're saying is right, you still are powerless. What would you say to an argument like that?
Well, I think first of all, if you have these alliances with the government, then you open yourself up to the government infiltrating you. You open yourself up to being dictated to. One of the things that makes the nation unique is that they don't have to answer technically to white folks or the government, right? Of course, they have to pay their taxes because they're in America. But once you open yourself up to these partnerships, now your message gets changed. It's just like if I was gonna create a school. If I create a private school versus a public school and take public tax dollars, now the public can tell the taxpayers, along with the government, can dictate what type of lesson plan that I teach the kids. And what if I want an Afrocentric lesson plan, and they're telling me I got to teach a lesson plan that pushes certain sexual orientations and certain things that I don't agree with on a spiritual level? Then now you open yourself up for all types of things. In terms of that he built for the infrastructure, well, wait a minute. If you look at Farrakhan's history, every time he's tried to do things, he's been oppressed. For example, his travels, when he's traveling around the world, when he has traveled to meet with other people, whether it be Africa, what have you, just like Malcolm X, they're watching him. They're trying to snip his passport. Matter of fact, Gaddafi. That's another reason why they don't like him.
Oh, yeah. That's
because
true.
He had a great relationship with Gaddafi, and Gaddafi was actually giving the nation millions of dollars, which he said, use this to help your people. And they got rid of Gaddafi because Gaddafi was talking about unifying Africa under a one currency, one African Union, right? And then they had water and all these resources that the Europeans wanted. That's why they did what they did. They had to get him out of power. So they didn't like Farrakhan's connection to Gaddafi. So every time Farrakhan tried to make those power plays, as you speak of, the United States government would do everything they can to screw it up. Okay. I do agree that when you isolate yourself and you don't take in government money and funding and all of that, it does hurt your ability to develop resources. But that if you look at the history of the nation, it was never their intent or philosophy to be a part of the mainstream, which is why they were called a friends group. You know, when you look at who's the guy that was on 60 Minutes? Remember, they did an investigative report back in the day, and most of white America had never heard of the Nation of Islam. They never knew that it even existed until they heard Malcolm X, and then they filmed a Savers Day, and they heard Elijah Muhammad speak, and they saw thousands of black people in there, and that really scared the shit out of white America, because before then, the only people who really had who knew about the nation were really black people. But it wasn't until, you know, the daring personalities of a Malcolm X, you know, really brought them to the forefront of people's minds and imaginations. So is there more that Farrakhan could be doing? I know that when Elijah Muhammad was alive, you know that they had their own airplanes, brother. They had their own resources, homes and things. I
didn't know that.
Yeah, if you go back and look at the history, Elijah Muhammad, I
didn't know they had their own airplanes.
And they had land and farmland. They probably had even more.
I know that much.
They have even more than what they have now. Okay, because the more the nation was exposed to this society, the more they became public enemy number one, and they became a danger. So, you know, could Farrakhan do more? Yes. There are those that say this. We're going to be honest with this conversation, brother. There are those out there that say, you know what? The Nation of Islam and Muslims, they only concerned with Muslims. They only concerned with the nation. If you ain't a member of the nation, they ain't really concerned with you. They really concerned with those that's a member of their nation. Now, I've heard those criticisms before. I'm sure you have too. So if that is the case, then I can see why some black people really won't give a damn about Farrakhan being banned from Facebook, because they may see, well, I'm not a member of the nation, and he only cares, or they only care about black people that are part of the nation. And there are black people who have those views, and there's some that may come on the panel tonight who may have the same views too. And guess what? I'm not going to hate on them. Everybody's entitled to believe and feel what they feel, even if it's wrong or right.
Okay, all right. Let me ask another question again, because I want to talk about this. I know Mayo. I don't want to mispronounce his name. Mayo Yiannopoulos. He's the British guy.
Okay.
Who was writing? He was the editor of Breitbart. I believe that he's from Britain. Yes. And I know he started. He got fired from Breitbart, and then he's just been having he's a gay guy also, but very, very popular, very conservative and far right. Went to Berkeley. The students at Berkeley were trying to attack him. Alex Jones, who's also not without controversy. A lot of black people hate Alex Jones, especially when it comes to this white South African thing. When he was trying to help the white South Africans maintain their land, I think he lost a lot of black folks there. Let's kind of take the focus off the Minister Farrakhan right now, and let's focus in on these other two guys. I don't really know a whole lot about either one of them, but I do know something. I know Alex Jones, InfoWars, had a huge channel.
Yes.
Here on YouTube, they were doing huge numbers every day. Alex Jones is very entertaining. He has a very, very distinct voice. What do you think about these two people? They're non-black. They also have been kicked off of social media too. I know their situations. I know you linked up Alex Jones with Farrakhan, but let's talk about these other non-blacks who are also being banned from social media. What do you think that says about those individually? What's the message here?
Well, let me talk about Alex Jones since I know more about him than most. There was a time when I used to follow InfoWars, O'Shea. I'll be quite honest with you. I think Alex Jones and guys like Jordan Maxwell, they were sort of the introduction to all this conspiracy stuff. I know Jordan Maxwell for sure. A lot of brothers who were getting into the whole conspiracy theories, they start checking out InfoWars. They start checking out Jordan Maxwell. Then there's the book called Behold of the Pale Horse by William Cooper. I've got a copy of that book. You know, when you get that book, they put your name on a list. They want to know who's got that book because he exposes the government and all the secrets. And then he mysteriously...
Really?
Yeah, I got the book. I should have brought it up. I got Economic Hitman, baby. This is another reason why they have to censor people. They have to censor people like Farrakhan, like even an Alex Jones, even though I'm not a big fan of him anymore, because you got guys like this that they bring on their shows who talks about how America is an empire and how they manipulate governments through foreign aid, how they create coups. And that's what's happening in Venezuela right now. They want to create a coup over there, get rid of the leader, and act like they're all for democracy. So when you look at a guy like Alex Jones, this is the kind of stuff that he talks about. And I got some of my introduction from his program. But where I kind of have a problem with Alex Jones is when he started to go over the far crazy right into this whole thing about Sandy Hook was a conspiracy. Then he came out with the Obama accession. He came out with all this propaganda about Obama not being a citizen, about Obama being the devil child. So when he took it to a point where it was like, now you're getting stupid, man. That's when I had to leave Alex Jones alone, because now Alex Jones started acting and talking like one of these off-right individuals. So that's where I kind of like, I think Alex Jones did it to himself because he was making statements that were not appropriate, that were not true. He was lying. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I was listening to Phil the Avi show break down why Alex Jones got booted off of YouTube, because he did not follow the guidelines and he kept doing stuff after they had already put him on a small suspension, and he kept trying to create other channels, right? To try to see if he could beat the system by creating other channels. And they kept saying, we put your ass on a suspension. So Alex Jones kind of created his own downfall. Okay. And we're living in an and then Alex Jones, whether you like him or not, he was one of a few white men. I say one of a few white men who were actually talking against the government and saying things about what they were doing in the government. So he became the white boy that even the white people said, we got to shut this white mouth up. Okay. And even though I don't mess with Alex Jones anymore, I'm not going to sit up here and be a dishonest broker and say and deny the fact that he was confronting white bullshit as it relates to this government, that is, and the shit that's going on, whether it be the HART project in Alaska, how they're messing around with the magnetic fields, whether it be how they have people who come in your house who are working for Homeland Security. Let's say you got something wrong with your computer or TV, and they come in and they fix your computer. And while they're fixing your computer, they're looking to see if you got any terrorist stuff going on, right? And if you got terrorist activity going on where you're talking to someone, then that engineer is going to report you to Homeland Security, because they can look in your computer and see what you're doing. So Alex Jones talks about that, how you got spies, how, the television, how they can monitor to your television with all of this technology that we have, kind of far out there type stuff. And then he talks about the Bilderberger Group. I'm very familiar with them. They meet 2 times a year in secret. And most of these media outlets are part of the Bilderberger Group, which is why they never talk about it. And the Bilderberger Group is actually seen as the real United Nations, making decisions on what countries are going to go at war. And so he exposes this kind of stuff, Bilderberger Group. the Bohemian Grove here in Northern California, what these men of leadership are doing. The Trilateral Commission, the Committee of 300. Brother, I could go down and down and down the list. So so he's a white dude that's exposing that, and that puts him in jeopardy.
Okay.
But let me say this: if he was a black man, if he was a black Alex Jones, they would have got rid of him a long time ago.
Oh, okay. So let me say this. So then, because Alex Jones actually got kicked off of social media, and Mayo Yiannopoulos, they started getting kicked off of social media actually before Louis Farrakhan.
Okay.
So some people may say, now me personally, I agree with you. But what about people that will say, okay, well, Alex Jones got the boot before Louis Farrakhan?
Yeah, but wait a minute though. But we're talking about Facebook and YouTube. Farrakhan was already being purged of other opportunities, such as, like I said, they took his passport. They said he can't go to Europe. He can't go to certain schools. So even before they got to these guys that were on social media, they were already doing things to Farrakhan. You can't buy some of his literature like you can buy anybody else's, right? So check this out. I could probably still get I can get a copy of Economic Hitman. I can get a copy of William Cooper's Behold the Pale Horse, right? Even though they're hard to get, but you can still get them on Amazon. But yet you can't get a copy of, like I said, of Louis Farrakhan's Secret Relationship Between Jews and Black People. You can't get it. So what I'm saying, they were already messing with Farrakhan. Even though they were getting ready to get rid of these other guys, they were messing with him prior to all this, to the social media. That's what I'm saying. And let's talk about my main man. I love him, Brother Ben X. Okay, Brother Ben X lost his channel. They took. Why do you think he lost his channel on YouTube? Because he was promoting Farrakhan, Louis Farrakhan, a whole lot, showing his videos, his speeches, and promoting the Nation of Islam.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I agree with that. That's definitely true. That definitely is true. They got rid of him real quick for no apparent reason. Also, and that's the thing that I believe he does a whole lot. Is he reposts a lot of footage from
you are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
One of the first folks to reach out to him, and he came on. We did an interview, and they went after him primarily because this is a brother who has a reward-winning channel. He's got one of those YouTube plaques. He's bringing in good numbers, but I think they just didn't like the fact that he was sending a message. And the thing about Ben X is that he was a polite brother. He wasn't uploading videos that were incendiary in any kind of way, and they still got rid of his channel. And he didn't do anything. He didn't put anything super nasty on there. So he doesn't even curse. Yeah, and the common denominator is that fact that he's part of the nation, and he was promoting Honorable Louis Farrakhan. That's the bottom line to it. And he even admitted it to me.
Yeah, I like Ben X. Shout out to Brother Ben X. I'm a Patreon of his. He's a nice guy. I talked to him a few times on the phone, and he's. I wish I was as diplomatic as him, but I can't stop being a Negro. But anyways, let me do this. Information Man, you have really killed it. Answer some really tough questions I put out there for you as the leadoff. You always do a really, 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 really great job on that. Now I'm going to open up the floodgates to hell, because it's crazy right now. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to do a 2-part show, but I already sent out so let's see. Sly, I see.
Information is power. Tell the truth.
Well, everybody, thank you for listening to the program. Let me give out a few shout outs here. Brenda Johnson, it's so wonderful to see you in the chat room. That what you were hearing was I was on O'Shea Duke Jackson's program. I'm a part of his Sunday Rumble. So if you have not checked that out, folks, check out Sunday Rumble. I'm a fixture over there in that Rumble. We have a lot of some of the top black YouTubers over there, and not to toot my own horn, but I'm one of those black YouTubers that has been grinding for a long time, and a lot of folks within the manosphere and throughout the black YouTube are aware of who I am, but I'm also still growing and trying to learn, trying to grow the channel. I know I have what you can see on there is a good number of people that have subscribed to the channel, but I'm always still growing and learning and trying to develop and improve what I'm doing. Like I said, I will be doing live streams like this that will be radio live. I will be doing pre-produced videos. I do have some good stuff coming down the line. It takes time, folks. You have to edit these videos. When you do pre-produced videos, it takes a lot of time. So be patient with me. I still am going to do the Black to Black series. I will be doing some panels. And like I said, if you look at my channel page and over to your right, you see the links where it has the social media links. But the one that's very important is my podcasting channel. And I'm going to be putting fresh material. So because what I did before is that I was putting material that was the same material that I have on my YouTube. And so I've come to a conclusion that I need to put different material on there so that when you click into that, you'll hear something different and fresh. And it will be radio style like this, but even better radio style, because that's my podcasting system. And over there's a whole nother world of people in that podcasting world. It's a radio style type world. So so whenever you click into the Spreaker, is what it's called, Spreaker, you will hear me over there. I'll probably put the link to my Spreaker channel in bold letters on the action every time I do a video or a live stream, so that you can click into it even easier that way. So check that out. There'll be some fresh material on that. And sometimes if the material that I'm doing is very compelling, I'm going to put it on YouTube as well. So that'll happen from time to time. We got J-Dog in the chat room. We got Anita B, Brenda Johnson. I love you. Don't go away, Brenda. I haven't seen you in a while. I don't know if you're listening, from afar, but come on back, sister. Come on and listen, participate in the chat room. Earl Owens, thank you for being here. Brother Adubian, I love you. Brother Adubian, what I was trying to say is that you used to be able to get the book that Farrakhan was talking about. You used to be able to get it on Amazon, and you can order it on a various outlets to ordering books. And you said you're right. You can get it through the NOI. I understand that, but the point I was trying to make is that you used to be able to get it in more places, and because they've censored him, you can't get it in other places. You would have to go to them and get it from them directly, which is probably better anyway, because you keep the money economically flowing within our community. So J-Dog is here. Everybody in the chat room, if you want to go ahead and follow each other's channels, simply put a check mark next to each person's name that you copy, or you can write the person's name, copy and paste it, and say, hey, I have you, or I'm gonna follow you. So follow each other, because there's a lot of people in YouTube. Everybody, we got Mary Jane in there. Sister has a dynamic channel. She goes live quite a bit, and she's gonna give you the gossip. She's gonna tell you about what's happening in entertainment, what's happening in black media out there in the entertainment world, and various other issues. Check her out. I think you're going to like the way she does her show and her style. I just give her support. She's a smaller YouTuber, or she's sister's growing. Another thing too, we have underrated darkness in the channel. The brother is dynamic. He has a channel. He talks about issues in a very mature and a very down to earth way. He also talks sports. He talks social issues. He also cooks desserts and foods, and he does those sort of things. He does all that live, and he has really great panels. Everyone, if you don't know Underrated Darkness, go over and check out his channel and give him support. The brother needs that support. We need to help all of each other. And another way that you help each other is you support each other by sharing each other's videos in your own social media and in your personal community tab if you have one. So go right ahead, because that's something that I like to do for people too. Go ahead and share this and share with each other. Life with Raza, please support this sister. What she does on her channel is that she brings people into her channel, and she takes the time out of her day, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, to help people support people's channels by putting those check marks on there, by saying, hey, follow this person. So give her some love by going over to her channel, and you know what to do. Go over to her channel, hit the bell, the notification on her. Another thing I want to remind everybody in the chat room to do, and I've been noticing since I've been playing around with YouTube on my phone, have you noticed that they have this thing that comes up that asks you how often you want to be notified by a particular channel? See, this is the games that they play. So I was looking at that, and I was like, wow, it'll say, do you want to get notifications from this channel all the time? Sometimes. So be very careful when that comes up. If you want to get notifications from everyone's channel all the time, make sure you hit that thing for all the time. Now, so it's a little game that YouTube is playing, where they're also doing that when you're on your phone and stuff comes up. Another thing you need to do, because I know for a fact that there are people out there that are not getting all of my notifications. I know that there would be more people in here. So check each person's channel and make sure that you not only that you're subscribed, but that you have the bell notification hit. Because there have been times when I've gone to people's channels that I know that I follow, and I'm wondering, why am I not getting their notifications? Like Sister Mary Jane, I'm missing a lot of your live streams because I go and I find out that, hey, the bell and notification is not hit, and I know that I did hit it. And YouTube has a habit of purging people followers. So if you got people that's following you, so they'll purge them from you. So you lose people. They're playing a little game. And this is something that you got to notice a lot. So let's see. We've got ENS plus 3 TV. Thank you for being here. Cathon Love, thank you for being here. Underrated Darkness, Sister Life with Raza. Make sure y'all support her. CRU, thank you, brother. Support that brother's channel too. Let me scroll up and see if there's anybody I missed. Giving J-Dog, make sure you guys get over to J-Dog's channel and check him out. And like I said, put check marks next to people that you indicating that you're now following their channels. Water Sniper was in here earlier. I want to give him peace. We got Dr. Khalid Revenge. He says, okay, brother, Troll was a fairy tale. Solomon was a fairy tale, and Samson was a fairy tale, and this other mess is revised history. Okay, brother, I respect what you're saying. But let me go. But brother, Dr. Khalid, my Revenge. Thank you for being here. First of all, if you have not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and follow me. And guess what, brother? I met the real Dr. Khalid Muhammad in Berkeley years ago when I was in my 20s in college. I met the brother, talked to the brother. So I know what Dr. Khalid Muhammad is about. I'm a brother who was very fascinated with him and definitely followed him.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
So I thank you for being here. Let me see. We got African Defender. I want to give him some love. He's been following me for a long time. There's some folks that's been following me for a long time in here, like Brenda Johnson. Poetic Celts, thank you for being here again. We got Kay Thompson, thank you for being here. We got BBC Consents. Hey, sister BBC, thank you for coming in the chat. Kay Thompson, thank you for being here too. Let me see. Antonio Paris, thank you for being here. Earl Owens, again, thank you for being here again. Anyone that super chatted me, thank you. Whatever you do, whenever you support my channel, I put it back into the channel. I'm trying to improve it. I'm going to be I do have Streamlabs. I'm going to be doing some green screening live. I know how to green screen when I'm doing pre-produced videos and all that kind of stuff. So I got a lot of things in the work to try to improve the channel, but I experiment with them behind the scenes. I did a video the other night with this thing called Webcast to try to experiment. So you got to experiment with it, see what's working, what's not working. We got B1 for Life. Love you, B1 for Life, for being here. Thank you for coming in. Mary Jane again. We got Kaz Channel. Thank you for coming over. I see quite a few people that have come over to support my channel that I have actually, I'm now supporting them as well, or following them. We got India. What's going on, India? What's going on? Good to see you. I'm sorry. Anybody that I did not say what's up to earlier, I apologize. But I was broadcasting live at the same time playing audio, so I couldn't cut in all the time. We got D, Forbidden Fruit, sister. Thank you. Hey, and we got Joe, brother Joe. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to say what's up to you earlier. And then we got Jesus BU TV. Thank you for being here. Little Rock, Arkansas. Little Rock 2517. Little Rock 2517. Thank you for being here. Again, YouTuber. Thank you for being here. I'm just going down the line. Miss Legit. Thank you for being here, Miss Legit, and listening. We got we got Hodge. Thank you for being here. And Malcolm Fletch TV. That's a brother. Look at my channel. I did interviews with him. He's a member of the Nation of Islam, a very knowledgeable brother, powerful brother. Definitely support what he's got going on over there in his channel. We got the great Black Shark. Thank you for being here. And I think I got to everybody. And for those people who were here but had to leave, thank you for coming in. Make sure you help each other. Share this video, okay, in your social media, in your community tabs, because I do the same thing for you all. And we need the way YouTube works is that it works best when we all are helping each other. I'm not a selfish person. I want to work with everybody. And with that said, let me give everybody a clap that was here today.
Information is power.
And with that said, everybody, have a good day. Have a great Monday. I hope everything's going well for you. And thank you for listening to this presentation. I will be back with more material. That should be exciting as well. Thank you all. And you know what? Information is power, and I'm going to keep bringing it the best way I can. And that's the way it is. Make sure that you support. Make sure, this is important, that you support E and S Plus TV.
Tell the truth. Information is power.
Peace, everybody.